What the fuck is a default? Well, according to Playbyte.com, in Valorant, default usually refers to a standard or common strategy that teams use during a round. It means spreading out across the map to maintain control over key areas, gather information, and play for picks rather than immediately committing to a specific site. Whoa, Playbyte. Isn't that a bit too many words? You know you're talking to Valorant players, right? Don't worry, I'll dumb it down for you.
Kid's on Kitten Shelter. He's on a team called fucking Kitten Shelter.
Have you ever watched pro play and wondered, what the hell is going on right now? Well, you're not alone, because I wonder that at least once every match. But instead of staying confused, I decided this is the perfect opportunity to learn together, in a new series I like to call Team Deathmatch Player Learns About Pro Play. Now, when I was researching this video, I wrote down just general notes on what defaulting is, why you want to do it, whatever, all those fucking simple things. So let's go through those notes and try and learn together. The first thing I'm going to say is the general point of a default is to take as much map control as you can with the most amount of util possible and the least amount of risk. Now, this plays into defaulting being an informational thing. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to default in the first place? Well, the more map control you gain, the more your enemies will be confused. And it's a two-sided coin, because the more your enemies will be confused, the more map control you'll have and the more information you'll get, and the more you'll be likely to find the right site to hit. Because after you defaulted, your plan should be to hit the site from the information you've gained by defaulting. If you see that only one person is on site and it doesn't have any like crazy util on it, you should call your team. You should call the rotate and say, let's hit this fucking site. This guy's toast. Now, how do you do this? How do you actually default? How do you produce this? Well, I'm going to break it down in 4 simple turns. AKA, I watched a video of Finesse breaking it down in 4 simple turns, and I'm going to repeat it to you. Number 1, spread out. Number 2, take map control on the part of the map you decide you want. Number 3, insert a player after you've taken that map control. If you don't know what insert means, it basically just means leave that player behind to hold the angles. And number 4, make a decision if you want to go retake map control somewhere else after you've inserted that player. Now again, this was a lot of words all at once, and this player base I think are mostly visual learners. So let me show you a few examples of what a default actually is. Hi, I'm down here now. Fnatic versus Crew at this year's Champions. Now, as you can see, the start of the round includes Crew defaulting. The reason I wanted to show this default is A, Lotus defaulting is really easy to notice and to spot because that's a pretty default heavy map if you want to like play it correctly, if you want to actually get the sites you want to get. Now, the other reason I wanted to show this default is what's about to happen here. As you can see, there's 3 players walking down B. Viper gets inserted A. Now notice what these players do. They're going to break KJ turret. They notice the wall goes up, and they're immediately going to pivot over towards C. Now, why the fuck would they do that, right? Why would you go pivot over towards C? Well, if we zoom in here, these little motherfucking icons that, well, let's be honest, half of you guys just don't even look at the minimap while you watch this game. So these are mollies, and this is an alarm bot. This is passive util. That turret was passive util. What does passive util do? It gives information to these players. These players can play off that passive util and be like, players haven't gone past this point, or players haven't pressured this point. I don't need to move. I know where they're going. It's obvious where they're going because they never tried to hit either of these sites because this util hasn't been touched. So, Crew incorporate this within their default. They go break the turret. They try and break the thing C with their own mollies, but they miss. This alarm bot was placed in a place where they didn't find it. They didn't break it. And on top of the ult, this doesn't actually work out for Crew. You can see an example of a default not working out. And it's not necessarily because they did anything wrong other than like missing the util, but it's because Valorant is a fantastic game. Watch what happens here. What a great game, Riot. What an amazing game. I think it's such an amazing game that it's such a great fuck. Now, this is the very next round. You can see pretty much the exact same thing happen to a lesser degree. These 2 players are going to insert themselves A. They're going to disrespect this Viper wall and they're going to fight it. They're going to fight They're going to try and get something. They know the Odin's here. Now, watch what these two players do. These two motherfuckers, these two sneaky motherfuckers do the same thing they did last round. They're going to peek, break that turret. KJ's on C, already broken the, actually haven't broken the alarm, but tries to just take a timing and see if they can break the util. It doesn't work. They're on an eco, it's fine, it's whatever. But this is another example of a default, and this is another example of crew trying to break the passive util to make sure that they can hold pressure on these areas. The more pressure you have, the more the enemy is going to be confused, and the more you can actually do with the map control you've gained. It sounds complicated, but in premise it's pretty simple. Now, if you really wanted to nerd out about defaults, from my little tiny fragile brain has seen while doing research for this video, is that defaults aren't a sad thing. Just like anything in this fucking game, Valorant is in a constant state of flux, and especially when you hit that highest of highest level that these players are playing at, defaults themselves have different styles. This default and that default are not the same. But for me to learn about all that, I would have to go through like hundreds of VODs and learn the team's different styles. For example, some teams like to go slower, some teams like to go faster, some teams don't understand the word default. I'm looking at you, Paper X. And that would be way too much for the first episode. So instead, let's summarize what we've learned today. And what better way to do that than to test if you were listening to a word I said during this video, while also just giving you that little bit of PTSD. What do I mean? That's right, pop quiz, baby, let's go. Pop quiz, surprise quiz, let's go. Let's fucking go. Pop quiz, baby, we're back in school. It's your nightmare again. Let's fucking... Question 1. What are the 4 general steps of a default? Question 2. What is the general point of a default? Question 3. What is the reason behind a default? And question 4. After you've noticed it for a few times, what is something that can be incorporated into your defaults? Very good. Or bad. I don't know. You could have gotten it all wrong. What am I going to do about it? Come to your house? Show up outside your window? That would be crazy. Who would even do that? Now, there's one final question I want to answer today. And it's, how can I implement this into my Valorant games? And honestly, the answer is kind of a lot simpler than you may think. You can't. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a very nice day.